I tried to record some stuff yesterday, but I was so sick that it was like hard to talk, hard to breathe. And I'm really a person where if I write something and it like accidentally deletes, I hate that because like what I wrote is exactly how I wanted to say it because I edit as I go. And I think the same with speaking. Like, I hate regurgitating what I've said and trying to remember what I said. But it was on the topic of conspiracy theories, and like my breath is kind of hitching right now too. There's like something in my throat, but I'm gonna try to keep talking because I have nothing else to do, and yeah, I guess this is just like a form of entertainment for myself right now. Because not, nothing else has been interesting me. I feel like I'm so bored of every format and every topic. And even when you don't know something, it's kind of like the two halves of going from unknowledgeable to knowledgeable. Like, that's what it is. That's what everything is. So, I don't know, it doesn't make a difference. Like, I don't feel like having the act of going through the act of not knowing to knowing. And that would be every pathway to every topic. Like, when you realize that most things aren't new, that all experiences are kind of developed from the same states, the same several states of several emotions, that makes things less enticing or interesting because it's just like, okay, if I do that, that would make me happy. But like, there are different things that can make you happy. Like, I don't know if I'm explaining this well, but the only places to truly go are the same emotions. And once you have already so like consciously and actively like understood your emotions and understood that they could be unlocked and felt, and you could bring yourself to a state by yourself, and you don't have to wait for things in order to feel. It's kind of like the concept of manifestation is like, you don't wait for the thing to make you happy, you just exist in happiness. And then happiness brings in what attracts it, and usually what gets attracted to you is the event. It's like it's already practiced. The emotion. That's how you get to experience it. You're not waiting for an experience. It's like you're constantly giving it to yourself. And I think when you like really understand that and unlock that, you just kind of sit around, or I'll just speak for myself. I just kind of sit around and I don't get like uneasy if a good feeling isn't gonna come, and I don't, or try not to get down if like a down feeling comes, because at the end of the day, that feeling's gonna come again. It's like there's no need to rush through a feeling because it'll just transform into something else. Unless you're really good at being like neutral and like in a line 0 point peas or something. Like, I remember I was sad once, and I was just like, I don't even feel like getting over being sad because I know if I do, I'll just be sad again some other time. It's like feeling cycle, and there's no permanence. So there's really no use in identifying or take it personal and being like, I need to capture happiness. Or like, it's so sad that I'm so sad, and I'm so sad that I'm so sad. That's when you just let it go through you. And that's like what I feel with things right now, and like hobbies. It's just like everything is all the same. Or a lot of things have been like politicized, so I don't feel like getting into them. I feel like most of what there is divided into either pop culture or education. And I'm really through with pop culture. I mean, there are musicians and like actors and stuff that I've liked. I wouldn't say I ever like truly intentionally kept up on purpose. But I do think I was always in like the sphere of knowing more than I really thought about, like really considered that was being fed to me. I never stopped and thought like, why is this being like targeted to me? Like, why is Twitter showing me this or showing us this? Or so normalized that, you know, it's so in the culture for you to care or to know, or that it's real news, to know people like Brad Pitt exist. Or like you live long enough that there's so many small facts that add up, and then you just wake up and you really do know. You could really write a paragraph about like an actor that you don't even like, and that's just because of like what you've heard through passing, through magazines, through TV, through the internet. It's like crazy that you can just unintentionally learn so much and like use up so much brain space basically without permission. I wish that you could mute vocabulary or topics. Like, if there was a way to tell your mind what part of your language to understand, like if I could just tell my mind, yeah, this is in English, but you don't need to comprehend this because it doesn't matter. So if I heard like someone talking about pop culture, if I could just like shut my mind so I didn't know anymore. It's just truly disgusting how much movie trivia, like little things that you'll know about stuff you've never even seen or cared about, but like something like gardening would never have that much conversation for you to wake up and just be like, I actually know the basics of how to garden because I've heard so many like bits and pieces everywhere. No, it's like I know the basics of like Angelina Jolie. Completely useless. And then like on the education side, I feel like I've spent a lot of time educating myself and like going through serious topics, specifically with like philosophy, just like the education of how to understand the world. And now I feel like I understand that the world is just a choice. It's just choices on how you want to act, how you want to feel, what you want to like. There are no definitive answers. It's just the non-duality of infinite. So to watch anything that's educational, I just think there are two sides then, and if there are two sides, it's basically like an infinity sides. You know, people like education because they want to get down to the truth, but what if there is no truth and it's just perceptions of truth? So I'm not really interested in education, in stories, and like learning, in history, in picking sides. And I'm not sure like what there is if you take away pop culture and you take away education. I mean, I think about doing like non-political, politicized hobbies like gardening and, I don't know, crocheting, like very basic, kind of like traditional, self-sufficient type things that are grounded and useful, and not like speculative or I don't know, not used for something. Like they're so useful, but it's not like you're doing it to be on a side or show off. I mean, some people can be like little like ego based, and there's some holistic people like that are very like, you guys are so gross because you eat blah blah, and I'm eating like my homemade meal that's straight from my garden, and it's like zucchini and mushrooms and blah blah, and it's like, yeah, they can be like ego based, but I guess the point is like, there's nothing I really want to do or feel like doing, or I think I should do at this point. I'm really content in this idea of my job is to be. Like, if I have a job, if I have a quote unquote job, it's simply to be. Like, this is it. There's something inherent to me, the way I was built like this, that is in itself expertise. Like, I am the degree. Like, I am the best at being me. I'm the only person that can be me because I am me. Whatever this is completing its duty by this existence. And it's not like I need to gather certificates and accomplishments to satisfy the human insecurity or belief that we all like start at zero and then we gain points by like going to school and getting married and like the whole deal, having a certain amount of money. We didn't start at zero. Like we started 100 as being us, as being born. This was the thing, and I can't control this. When I try to control this, when I try to push myself, I've just like hurt myself because there's some sort of limitation I felt around me. I don't know if other people feel this, but it's as if I can't move in certain ways. Like there's a track that I'm clearly on, and that's like it. So I'm trying to accept that and trust the track. And you could say like, well, what if the track's wrong? What if that's not what it is? But I don't know if it matters. Even if I'm wrong, it's like I don't really get the point of regret. And thinking, what if there's no track and you're wasting your time and there's all this other stuff that you could do, all the stuff you could do in your life. I don't really feel the need or have the desire for anything big anymore. I mean, I never really think I desired huge things, but they were big from my perspective, from what I know from how I grew up. I always wanted like conventional things, or to mean something to a very specific group, not to be like super duper famous, like incredibly rich, but in a medium sized, like moderate way, to be significant in a specific field. And now I don't really care that much. I would just prefer a simple life. Debt free, comfortable. So being settled like this in myself, with little desire and no pain, and kind of just understanding that of what I can control and what I can't control, and the acknowledgement that this existence is special in of itself, which is very basic, but forgettable for a lot of people. I feel like I'm so neutralized that I don't know what to do, and I don't feel bad about it. But I think living is so amplified and motivated by desire and wanting, and I just don't know how to live as a person that doesn't know what they want to do and is fine with that. Because I think most of life is about like celebrating or complaining, and you know that's what you do with your friends. That's what you do with your family members. You're like, this happened, and I'm so excited. Or I'm trying to do this, and I hope it happens, and like everyone supports you, or like something bad happens, and you complain, and like if you are so neutralized or understand your emotions and feelings and reactions, and don't lean onto the happiness or put the happiness on a pedestal, then it's not that big of a deal, and you don't need to share it with someone. Like if happy is so, if you're used to it, it's so normal. You don't have to excitedly like rush to a friend and explain it. It's just like something that happened. And if you know that like something like bad happened or irritating happened, you know you can complain, but it's not gonna change anything. It's just gonna, you know, it just takes time. Complaining is just a moment of time, and then it's done, and then you have to fix the problem yourself or just like move on. It's like not worth complaining about. So it's like there's how much to react to. Like I'm not reacting, and when you're not reacting, it's like you're not living. Because that's what a lot of this kind of world is. So I'm like very internal into myself. Because I also don't like when you complain to someone and they kind of agree, because that's usually like what friends do. Like everyone wants to be, we tell each other, or we have to be on each other's side. So if a wrong is done to you, and you tell someone they're going to be on your side, and they're kind of just going to give energy to that emotional field, and they're going to be like, wow, like I hate that that happened to you. I hate that person. That sucks. And then that like keeps the moment alive. And I feel like a lot of people are more energetic when it comes to complaining. For some reason, we relate to each other more when it comes to like hate and sadness. And then when it comes to happiness, like people can genuinely like celebrate, but it's not as personal for some reason. There's not as much relatable connection. So I feel like the emotional field is shorter. It's not, you know, happiness isn't sustained as much by other people's energy as like sadness and anger. And I feel like there's not, like in the sphere of things that I listen to or I've listened to, like really adjacent to this like truther community of like conspiracy theories and people constantly waiting for the truth to come out, or like aliens and patriots and like white hats, stuff like that. Like I'm not interested in that anymore because the drips of information are just so slow and like, people aren't accountable, people aren't held accountable, like, everything can shift, like, answers can shift, reasons can shift. So when things don't happen, there's always an excuse. Or it's like, well, this appears to be like these people are in control, but actually these people are controlling. Like, did you know, like, this whole time, like, kids were being taken out of tunnels this whole time? Regardless if it's true or not, it's just like there's something, like, my life has kind of just been the same these past couple of years, despite all the information, all the truth drops, all the Q drops, whatever you want to call them. I was never really hardcore in any camp. I've always just taken that information and never, like, really held onto it. So I haven't been disappointed. It just clicked that it is a waste of time, and, you know, watching it, that's just sucking up so much energy. And I can just live my life. I don't have to pay attention. Like, after a amount of truth, you really can ignore it and just live your life and try to be, like, as clean as possible, in the meaning of being as self-sufficient and truthful and reconnecting with beauty in a real way, and forgiveness and understanding, and not judging other people and not yelling, just truly living for yourself, because that's, like, all you can take care of, that's all you can control, and not waiting for the world to be perfect so you can live. And there have been times where I've been scared of, you know, like, what was going to happen, like, when all of this, you know, like, pandemic stuff started happening, and I've been aware of certain things beforehand, so I didn't believe it. So I didn't believe it to the extent that they were feeding us and telling us. That's when I got scared, because it was very revelations. So I really thought that a lot of people weren't going to make it. You know, I was trying to prep and stock up and, like, worried about my job and worried about these, like, mandatory things. And then nothing really happened. Like, I've heard stories, but nothing in my personal life. Like, my family members did go get the fix, but nobody passed from it. And I just remember, like, just trying to get through that summer and just trying to see what was going to happen. Just, like, if I make it to the end of the summer, I'll have the answers. Like, the world will change. Like, I'll know the ending. I'll know what happened. It'll have happened. And then nothing really happened. And I feel like for a long time, that's how I've lived my life. In regards to, like, myself, too. Like, constantly waiting for myself to happen, to know my own ending. And not thinking that, like, I'm creating it in this moment, but as if I'm getting to a separate person, like, I'm running to me in the future, and thinking I'm going to meet her in the present, when I'm creating her right now. I think that's also, like, why time has felt, like, shifted to me, because I'm no longer waiting. Because I dropped the desires and expectations. There's no future that's separate. I don't know what the future is, so I feel allowed to live in the present, or make decisions and not be too analytical about where they'll get me, because there's so much that has happened that I never thought would happen, that I feel like even if you were to, like, even if I were to plan things, like, is that how it would go? Like, what are the chances of it go that way? I think that's something that I wish people had instilled to me as a child. I don't think I got much advice. I didn't really get any advice as a kid. Um, my parents were kind of neglectful. I mean, really neglectful. They were neither encouraging nor discouraging, really. And it really put me in a neutral place of never knowing if I was doing good or bad, really. So I wish I'd found the advice that, like, your dreams are kind of just a draft. Like, I didn't get the knowledge of ideal, like what is ideal, idealization, and that in your head you can have these pinpoints of like where you want to go, and then in real life, maybe some people do shoot directly to the pinpoint. Maybe some people are only near it, but I, I just, I never had a draft that I stuck to. So I just have like no expectations of what could happen, and I don't go any which way about it. It's just like that's interesting because time is so unreal. It feels so unreal. Like I'm so relatively young in this moment, and I feel crazy. I can't hold on to it, and it's gonna be an illusion, and it's already a passing illusion. And every second, it's already the past, and it's just like a memory. And it's just like breaking my brain right now, knowing that I am moving towards something, and I won't know what it is until I get there. And it's just like a big surprise. And all I feel like doing these days is sitting in silence and just being in my body because I know that none of this is real or forever. That I'm probably, or I am the most important thing for myself. Like, I think the most important thing or satisfying thing to do is just to sit in myself and be this. And I can just sit in silence and feel my existence. And this should be the priority. It shouldn't be like me going to a store and buying things. Like, I'm the thing that I should soak up. I should be enjoying myself as this thing. Because I won't have myself forever. And, like, nothing compares to this. Nothing's as interesting as the fact that I'm me. So I don't need to watch TV or get new clothes or things like that. And I think so much about this life where people are really interested in getting things to put on and getting things to put in them. Like going to Starbucks and getting some kind of drink and like the sensations of the drug of the sensations of senses of entertainment and forgetting that like they are the experience while they're rushing to play with all these senses that are very cool, but it's almost like chores. Like finding things to touch, finding things to smell, finding things to taste. and constantly searching and doing over and over because it can never be permanent. When you can just sit in yourself and feel that, like if I eat something right now, I'll taste it, but then I'll swallow it and it'll be gone. If I touch something, I have to keep moving my fingers and hands to feel the texture, to keep the feeling of the sensation of touch. If I just put my hand down, maybe I'll feel it for a second, but then it kind of just absorbs into what it is. And you have to like constantly move to be in the action of the sensation. Like if you spray something and smell it, soon it like dissipates. The scent dissipates and can't smell it anymore, or you get used to it. You have to spray more. Then you have to spray more. And you have to, it's like you have to move within the senses to continue it, for it to be active. And I think when you sit in your body, if you learn to sit in your body, I think that is a way. I think you can sense, it's like you're sensing yourself, but there is no pause. And maybe that's like the euphoria of like meditation. I don't really meditate. I've had phases of meditation where I felt certain things, but for the most part, I'd usually just fall asleep. But I'm really trying to like sit in myself and feel this constant, instead of the senses that need like repeated activation to validate that I'm experiencing something. It's kind of like secondary. It's like you use the senses to validate that you are experiencing something instead of realizing that you are the experience. And you don't need the other things. You don't need the validation. When you sit inside yourself, you feel the constant. I honestly wonder how much I'll have to say in these videos and how often. Because reaching this point, like if I had started some years ago, I would have so much reaction and kind of commentary. But now, I don't have much commentary. And I kind of like, because I don't keep track of my research or keep up with people really, it's hard to format it and even retrospectively explain. And I don't know if I would care to, but I do find it interesting. I do find some people's stories interesting, and like when they do explain like step by step, but the last thing I kind of got into before coming to this kind of piece is non-duality. And I think a lot of non-duality, or what I watched, it would just talk about the end of seeking, or how there's no end of seeking, or because there is no enlightenment. And when that really clicked, it was just like, wow, like I kept looking for answers, and like what if there is no answer? And what if there is no journey? And what if the journey is a narrative, just another narrative? I'm I'm just tired of looking, and it's kind of like, what if I don't want an answer anymore? What if I don't care to have, like, care? What if I don't care anymore? It's like that kind of burnout, and honestly, like, some annoyance to people that either pretend to have answers, or, you know, some people just speak for themselves. They don't mean to be answers, but they gather a following. There's certain personalities that are really drawn to platforms, like public platforms, and or just happen to draw audiences, and I don't really care for some of their personalities and some of the validation, like the validated platform they receive from their audience. And you forget. When you see them, it's kind of like, but these are the type of people that would do this. Like, these are the people that would put out videos. I'm gonna try to explain this the way I'm thinking it. Like, just because you find them and they're there, it doesn't mean they're right. Like, there are a lot of people that don't put out videos that also have like, answers. It's kind of like assuming only the people that talk know. What if the quietest person knew the most? And we wouldn't know because they're just not drawn to being on a certain platform or being in public. So there's no need to hold on or put these people on a pedestal because it's just like there's something in them that is more. I don't want to say extroverted. I really don't care for like that extroverted, introverted, all these identifiers, but there's simply a person that feels more comfortable doing this or gather the comfort. Like I'm now technically kind of doing this by making this video, by starting this channel. I really like non-duality videos when people just sit there in silence because I really do feel their presence. I really do like sitting and seeing them sitting and genuinely like thinking and not, or maybe not even thinking, but just, I don't know why I'm getting so emotional today. Or like in this moment, like really tuning into what I'm trying to say. But the beauty in the silence and not being rushed and not like all these super cuts and thumbnails and colors and just that simplicity and remembering the essence and the feeling of being with another person and us not needing anything else but the presence of the present and the air and the breathing and just being outside and being like nothing, you know, you're not even really reacting, but you are realizing or taking in that there's nature, there's grass, and you are alive. And the respect to yourself of not rushing to come up with a thought, to sit there and think and, you know, acknowledge yourself as a human person that needs time to process. I really like that. So if I'm pausing, I know my screen is dark, so it's not as beautiful, but I hope that you can feel the peace and calm of those quiet moments and that it is relaxing and that there's a lot of love in the moments of literally just thinking. Because I think it's so sweet, and I feel like I didn't know that I would also feel it as I made the videos. Like if I'm watching something, I feel it. But you know, when you record, you know, you're told so much not to have like dead air. But nobody has the patience. Nobody has the attention span to sit through 5 seconds of silence. But I feel like I could probably do an hour long of like pressing record and just sitting in silence. And it would sound so beautiful to me. It would just feel beautiful to me to know that, or not even to know, but just something about that. It is still, it's not, it is still a recording of the truth of what is happening. The silence isn't emptiness. And some people take silence as emptiness. And that's why they get annoyed because they're like, nothing's happening. Like, can you get to the point? But the silence is existence. Like, that silence was time. That silence was real time. Something was happening. Even if you don't hear it, silence is happening. And we don't appreciate that. Silence is part of this, it's part of art. It's important. It is a thought. Silence is part of my thought. And I feel like it is the most honest part of thinking. It's the most honest part of the recording. Because it's like me, but without identity, without my voice, without senses, without perceptions, and you can't perceive me, you can't make me into anything, you can't comprehend that, like, I'm a woman, this is the dialect that I speak with, this is the language I'm speaking in, you can't assume where I'm from by maybe an accent, or the sound of my voice, you can't think about my age, you can't think about my race. It is all stripped away in the silence, and something like the purest thing is allowed to be, and that is the being. I guess that's God. And maybe that's why I've really been enjoying sitting within myself, because I've just been enjoying the silence. And knowing that silence is saying something. And wanting to hear what it's saying. Because I've heard what everyone else is saying. And I get it. And they're predictable, and I just get what everything else is. But I've never given silence as much attention, so silence is kind of new. Silence is more interesting now. I'm really just enjoying breathing right now. I want to say more, but I feel like I don't have more to say right now. It's just because I don't have any hobbies or interests. I'm trying to find more to do with my time, I guess. Or I feel like the only thing that's left to do is to talk about my experience. I guess I'll finish off by kind of restating, like, going back to non-duality. Yeah, they would talk about there's no end to enlightenment, or there is no such thing as enlightenment. There's no like big celebration to the ending, because I mean, even if you get it, people get it in like sparks and moments, and then it kind of disappears. Like, even if you get it, because you have to live in this world and abide by certain like human etiquette and bureaucracy, there is no real rest or point of celebration, because you have to play the act and follow the rules. So even when you get to the end and you're like, oh, I found the truth, it's like you can't really fully implement the truth. So it's kind of like, now you just live with the knowledge, but still do the same damn thing as everyone else, or appear to do the same thing, and nobody can tell. Nobody knows that, unless you're very like outwardly, or you go like full hippie. Nobody would look at me and think that she is a person that thinks this way, because I don't talk this way. I'm just a person that goes to work and works, and I'm just a daughter that argues with her mom, and loves her mom, and thanks her mom. And even when you try to make the real world into the world in your head, certain reactions you get, you just know that there are so many levels that it's impossible. Like, it's just not allowed here. Like, God is in control, and you can't force it. Like, you can't explain. Like, this is why so many people failed to, quote unquote, failed to save their family members from the fix. Because some people are just on different levels, and you can't control that. And it is so funny. I was talking to one of my coworkers. He's very normy, but I like it. It's refreshing compared to the like schizophrenic conspiracy theorists that I agree with, but can be very down and like everyone's gonna pass away. But yeah, I was talking to him and he got it along really well. And suddenly, like, he was talking about how he was tired of working. And I was like, you know why you're tired? It's because, like, we're not supposed to work. Like, humans, we weren't built to work 40 hours a week. Like, this isn't normal. And I was like, this job isn't real. We made up these things. Like, we made up this paperwork. We made up these words. And he just went silent. And he kind of, like, looked at me. He really didn't say anything. It was like his mind had shut down. Like, he didn't say anything. And I didn't push it. I was just like, well, like, I'm really actively seeing the quote unquote, like, NPC, like, the level, like, the frequency, like, I'm allowed to be at his level, but it's like shooting a thought and the thought hitting someone's, like, I don't know, like, a metal fence or something. Like, I try to shoot a thought into his field, and the fence just electrified it and killed it, and it did not reach him at all. He had no opinion, he had no reaction. And it's such a truthful thing. It's like, we made this work up. This isn't a natural thing. This is a God thing, really. I mean, in a sense. We gave ourselves this word. Like, we literally made this up. This is not natural. This is not real. I think that's just such an objective truth. And the way that he shut down, it's funny. Anyway, after you give up on enlightenment, it's like, what's there to talk about? Who's there to talk to? And who's there to talk? Because so many of these people that are trying to be very, like, positive and 5D and, like, light warriors and light workers and starseeds and all of that, they are constantly in the story of going up, like, working up a hill, like, doing shadow work, fighting your dark side, fighting the astral realms, things like that. That constantly, like, put them in this perspective of fighting. They are always in the duality. Not many people get into the non-duality. It's really interesting because I do search up non-duality kind of daily on YouTube. I'll just put non-duality and, like, search today to find today's videos, and there might be like 20 different channels daily or weekly. And when it comes to, like, truthers, quote unquote, they're so stuck in the victim and predator and evil good. Don't get me wrong, there are things I definitely disagree with that people I don't like, or people I don't trust, like politics and stuff like that. I mean, I don't trust any politicians, but you can't anchor yourself into those stories because it is just so useless. So it's hard to find people that kind of get that we won't know. We won't know. We won't know what we want to know as much as there can be known for whatever reason, and we don't know why we don't know. And we don't know why we won't know, and we don't know if we will know, and you won't know until you know. And maybe you'll know once you pass. And that kind of acceptance. Like, even the non-duality people that do get it, they kind of, like, cycle back into teaching and teaching over and over, and The only channels that I feel like have surpassed all the truth-seeking, all the conspiracies, and the non-duality, there's like something that happens to non-duality too, like where people get stuck. There's a certain, I don't know what that is. The only people that I've seen have surpassed the non-duality stuck to are SB and Resonate and Quantum of Conscious. Or Conscience? Quantum of Conscience. Matt. I forget his last name. But every video he says, hey guys, it's Matt. So I've really had him on replay and repeat. I'm talking about, I've listened to some videos 4 or 5 times, because it is the only thing that like consoles me, that feels real, that doesn't feel like a waste of time. It's like, so like you get it. You get it, like you truly get it, like I feel like you're on my level, and it's not just like you thinking you get it. And it's like a level of you get it where, like, this is all there is now. And I feel that feeling. I feel like they both have a lot of videos. I think from like, because they both, well, I don't really know about SB and Resonate, but Quantum of Conscience has been on like this journey. He has videos and he talks about like the bog, and it's like, don't get in the bog, and the bog is like all the rabbit holes basically. And reality wants you to get in the bog and be on the pendulum. A big influence for me in the last month is I forget the author. I think his name is like Vladimir or something, but I hope I'm not wrong. It's reality transurfing. I think there are 3 books. You can find the audiobooks on YouTube, at least 1 and 2, and maybe like there's some parts of 3, but not the full. Book 2 really gets into this concept of pendulums, and pendulums are basically the duality and the balance of energy. There's like a lot of detail, so I don't think I can really summarize it. But I think that's like part of my neutralization is getting away from the pendulums, and that's like non-duality too. And I think both of these YouTubers have really like escaped the pendulum. And once you escape the pendulum, it's kind of like all there is to talk about is the concept of reality. It's like you don't want to get into any discussions because none of it's real. It's just like you're just literally talking about the blueprint of reality. And I don't think a lot of people step back or get that far into thinking about the blueprint because they're so stuck in the details. And since I don't care about like either sides of so many things, of like basically anything, there's not many people that are on that level to talk that way, and there's just nothing to do because everything wants you to be on a side, and it's just like I feel like all I have are these videos. Like I can find stuff that will pass the time, but truthfully, like my core interests, it's just like there is no more. There's no more to know. There's no more. There's something to take seriously. There's no more. We're literally at the end, and these 2 are at the end. It is like a dead end. This is it. I can't go back. I can't step back. I can't forget. I can't play back into that, the mess, get back in the bog. So I just repeat these videos because it's like, this is the air, this is the last air, this is the end, this is the last square, this is, it's all there is. It's all there is, so it's all I feel like listening to. And I feel like, I guess I was thinking I was gonna add, but it's like I am so at the end that I kind of missed an opportunity to explain or be publicly like in the journey towards the end. And that's why I was like, I'm gonna make a channel and I'm gonna talk and I'm so excited. And then I tried to make a video and it was just like, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know what to say because, like, do I want to say anything? Can I say anything? Can I explain it? So, I guess I'll just like record based off a feeling, or I really don't know. It's just like, I guess I'm also speaking because there's something comfortable about speaking out loud, and I guess I'm trying to make something aware that I know. Like, be a god, be a like a spirit guide, I don't know, some sort of thing. To know that I know. And then I'm just like sitting here and like I guess you can like take me. Like I'm asking like when are we leaving? Like when am I going? And that's not to say that I want to pass away. I'm saying certain words because I don't know how YouTube works now. I don't think I would feel it if I passed away. I think your like soul jumps out of your body or something, like your soul's taken before, so you don't feel the pain. But I always thought if I got to an answer that something would clearly like let me know. I don't know if it'd be like an angel or it just always. I guess I wanted like that enlightenment experience, like that Eckhart Tolle, like some sort of like a lightning bolt or like mystical psychic powers to validate me and unlock me and like reward me and be like, you get it now, this is the prize. And I just feel like I get it and there's just no prize. And it's just like, I'm not even 30 yet. And there's so many years to go. And I just feel like I get it. So it's so crazy. And I guess I just want to keep talking because there's nothing else to do. There truly is nothing to do. But something about talking right now just makes me feel not alone, like even though this isn't uploaded yet. In my first video, I think it was like 6 views, but I'm pretty sure they're all of mine because I had to check about if the videos worked and if they came out right. You know, as basic as that video is, it took a while to get it up. I don't know if something was like stopping me or I wasn't meant to do it. But I had to convert like so many things and re-download and like export and stuff, and it was ridiculous. And like then I was sick. I've been sick for the week, and I tried to make a video, and my voice was so bad. My voice is still bad right now. I'm really sorry if this is like choppy. It's because I've been pausing, and I'll like cough, and then I'll unpause. So I hope my like audio isn't too snipped and like I am coherent. But yeah, like I feel like several things just got in the way, and then like why isn't fate or something allowing me to make my silly little blank YouTube channel that nobody's gonna watch? I guess I'm really telling the secrets of the universe. Anyway, I'm just on my journey of being a human, but like not feeling like one, not knowing too much, but still being here, I guess. I do think it'll be interesting because I'm so, I guess, detached or not able to not able to take things personally that much anymore that I think anything could happen now. and I would just go with it. So I think I'm at my peak of possibilities and infinite in consciousness. I'm at my most neutral, and that's making like the biggest adventure. Because it's like, I don't know where to go. Because I have to go. You have to be here, you have to move. Life requires you to move. And especially like this society, where it's like you have to pay rent, you have to pay bills, you have to move. You can't live for free. So even if like you move or life moves you, so I'm gonna end up somewhere. I'm gonna have to do things. It's just, I don't know what is gonna happen. Okay, it's been a long time, and I'm gonna speed this up. But it has been fun. Talk to you in the next one.